Hello all, welcome. Oh, you're here already. Hope everybody's doing well. Yolandi, Richard, Tracy, and Zanka. Good evening, good day, and welcome. Thanks for joining. Um, Let me get the music started. Hold on. Yes. Okay. Right, as always, just let me know if the audio and everything's fine. I hopefully have fixed the problem I had last week because I always had I had the little fan on. I've got the big fan on now, but it was causing so much background noise that you couldn't hear the music or basically hardly even hear me. So I've put some filters on to get rid of the background rubbish. Oh, right, Spotify's not playing because I haven't selected it properly. Let me sort that out. Um, Arena's here. Hello, Arena. Um, where is Spotify and Cure? There we go. Okay. Now the music should be playing through it. There we go. Ah, it's Sunday again. Audio fine. Okay, good stuff. So what's everybody been up to? Well, past week anyway. Also, what you been doing? Anything interesting to report? What you're reading? All that stuff. There was no. Oh, I trying to the wrong one. Just melting in the heat. I know. We've had thunder, or heard thunder in the background. So hopefully we'll get some rain this week. It was forecast. We got the heat wave until tomorrow, I think, and then rain was forecast for like Wednesday, going on to Friday. But yeah, hopefully it comes sooner, and hopefully it's not just a quick shower, because otherwise it's going to get extremely humid. But yeah, crossing fingers. Yeah, for those who don't know what we're talking about, as poor folk in Joburg are melting. We have a heat wave here. I think it was up to 36 degrees Celsius today. Some areas going 40 plus, I think. Don't feel very sorry for them. Right, before we're waiting for other people to get here so we can really get the conversations going. Let's see, what have I been reading? I've read, well, actually read a short book. I read it today. Devil's Dozen by Tim McGarry. Excellent book, brilliant book. If you're interested in traditional witchcraft, specifically in terms of kind of initiating and meeting the devil type of thing. It obviously is focused very much on doing work outside, in places where people don't go. So your private spaces, but in like wild nature type of thing, which is very, 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 very extremely difficult to find, and I think it's becoming more and more difficult to find because people are just moving into the cities and things like that, and you can go out of the cities and drive for a distance, like an hour or two, and try and find somewhere, but it's not something you can really do regularly. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna. I was reading that because I'm doing the course Meet the Devil, which is going to go into the whole history of the folkloric devil, and then I'm going to do some actual practical work at the end of that, which is focused very much on people who cannot go into find a natural spot, who are needing or do have a need to work indoors. So we'll actually go. It will be something to open the gate, to open the doors, and to actually go and meet the devil. We're going to actually do a guided meditation path working that was actually something I did to meet Pan almost 30ish years ago, where I kind of started actually. So with all the other inclusions of everything I've learnt along the way, so it should be quite interesting. And I'll start recording that tomorrow. Yolandi, weather is weird in Cape Town. Looks like rain, but nothing happening. Well, just if you get the rain, just send it up here. We need it. Richard Gemagari must be a good book then. It is very Gemagary's books they're all really, really good. I mean, usually she does focus on Cornish traditional witchcraft, the cunning folk themselves. But this one is a bit broader. Just get very specific into ritual formats and stuff within traditional witchcraft. But excellent, brilliant book, really is. Right, as always, if anybody's got anything they want to chat about, just let us know. What else can I tell you? I suppose I could go on a bit more about meeting the devil. Yeah, that's going to be a video course I'm going to put on Patreon. I don't know how much it'll be yet. It depends on the length of it. It's going to be a long one. Might end up being like a 3-hour course, a video course. It depends how much I actually put in regarding the background, the history, and things like that. I've got it all. I've got the script written out, which is long. It's probably going to be about 2.5 hours if I do the whole thing. But as I'm going through it, I tend to take things out, and sometimes change things, but usually take things out because they're, kind of sometimes gets a bit repetitive, and I hate that. So as I'm recording, I kind of pick that up and take little bits out here and there. But we'll see how long it is at the end of the day, and then I can put a fee on or price on it. But I think it's going to be a very interesting one. And obviously it's going to be, I wouldn't really say advanced, but definitely directed at people who have done foundational work, and not like, just jumped into magic and witchcraft yesterday type of thing. You do need to know how to do various things like meditate, go into trance, and you're going to be meeting the devil. And if you want to make a compact with the devil or something like that, that's up to you. But definitely wouldn't advise it for anybody who hasn't done foundational stuff. It can get a bit tricky. And the chat's still quiet. Not many people here tonight. It's very slow. What else have I been reading? Still reading the Scrying and Dowsing book by Jenna Tyson. I am reading Agrippa's 3 books on cult philosophy, because I've finished watching all of the episodes of that from Dr. Justin Sledge. Excellent, that was brilliant. I actually put, if you're going to read the 3 books on occult philosophy, I would definitely watch, it was a 14-part seminar that he did and put onto his channel. So it's about 14 hours long. But if you're going to read the book, definitely watch that first, because it puts so many things into perspective. I mean, I read 3 books in occult philosophy years ago, long time ago. And it was kind of a slog, and I didn't really understand why I was reading it, and the background and things like that. You haven't really got most of the background. They're obviously I actually think that was Donald Tyson who. Hang on, let me just check. Oops, no, wrong place. Yeah, it was Donald Tyson who's done the translation, or not really the translation, possibly, but has added loads and loads of notes, and it's really, I mean, it's gone quite. The notes itself are involved, very extremely involved. Yeah, watch the Dr. Sledge stuff first, because that gives you so much background into what Agrippa was actually going through, what he was doing, the development of his own practice and his thoughts and his what he went through. I mean, Agrippa was a Christian, but in the 1500s, so that was very different to what we may consider that to be now. The difficulties he went through, and from when he started, the first draft was in 1511, I think, and then he did this final draft 1533. It was like 2 or 3 times bigger than the first draft, because he added so much to it. But yeah, background's excellent to get before you actually read it. Gives you a better appreciation anyway. Richard, sounds interesting. Which devil are you referring to? The devil. In your course meeting, yeah, the devil. When you're talking about folkloric devil, it very much encompasses a lot of the old gods, usually focused on the horn gods, but quite often the sabbatic god, because this gets very much tied in with the witch trials and the records from the witch trials and stuff. So that was often talking about the sabbatic god, sabbatic goat god, that you would meet in the forest during the Sabbats, when you go fly on your broom, or with your familiar to the Sabbat, and which you meet the devil in the forest. But also incorporating history and mythology from the devil at the crossroads. So the crossroads, the liminal god, also incorporates the trickster gods, the ones that are bringing knowledge and illumination. So the devil covers a lot of different gods. So many people kind of label the folkloric god the witch father, for instance. It's the devil. Sorry, the folkloric devil. So yeah, when we talk about the devil, it's a broad inclusion, really. So including Pan, Black Phillip, etc. Yeah, all of them. Perninos, even Lucifer, Prometheus. We've even got you can include things like selling your soul to the devil at the crossroads, which was the Robert Johnson story, and people like that. So yeah, it's just a huge inclusion. There's actually seem to be a lot of people becoming very interested in that specific direction. There's forgot his name, Derek Mason, I think his name is. He wrote The Dark Man, which is a great book. It's full of stories, really. The first half of it is kind of like mythology, stories from legend and things like that. Second half of it is speaking to practitioners who have actually had experiences with the Black Man and the Dark Man and the Devil, and the Dark Dog, or the Black Dog as well. So yeah, very interesting. But there's a few book recommendations I'll be giving in there as well, because as I said, I mean, one of them is going to be Gemma Gary's The Devil's Dozen. because it is focused on meeting the folkloric devil Buka, and various different rituals that you can incorporate with the compass and hallowing the ground and all of those things. But there is that focus on meeting the devil actually, but it's her methods are very much going into a wild place where no humans go, which is very difficult for a lot of people to find, as I said, or finding a churchyard in the middle of the night and walking around the church backwards in this folkloric, traditional witchcraft manner, which is, again, I wouldn't be able to find something like that anywhere where I live. So, though I'm going to give those suggestions, if anybody is interested in that and can actually go and do those things, then cool, they can go do that. But my own inclusion to the practice part is going to be for people who can't find those wild places, who are kind of confined to working indoors. So hopefully it will catch on. Jono's here. Hello, Jono. I'm so glad I accidentally saw this as live. Cool show. Oh, thank you. Yeah, just very quiet tonight though. Apart from Richard. Richard's talking. But it looks like the people joining us starting to pick up. Alright, so hopefully we'll get a good show going tonight. As always, this is the Covenstead, so anything you want to discuss, talk about, anything like that. Jono, I did see you did reply. I haven't been able to get to it, so I'll probably do that tomorrow. Oops, I'll get to your post tomorrow as soon as I can, really. Dragon of the West is here, hello. And Cosmo's here, hello. Oh, Cosmic. Malcolm, thanks for joining. No, Richard, don't be quiet, don't be silly. I need discussion, otherwise I'm going to start rambling on. You don't have much to say. That's okay, don't worry. I'll find something to talk about. I'll hum and ha for a while, and then I'll just ramble on about some abstract things, so don't worry about that. Dragon, how important are the right materials and tools for a ritual or spell? Depends on the tradition you're following, and I guess the ritual itself. When it comes to some traditions are very specific about their tools, others aren't. In some cases, some situations, you don't use tools at all. I don't use many tools. I'm not really a tools person myself, so it wouldn't be all that important for me. But if you are trying to do something within a Golden Dawn framework, for instance, then there's a specific reason you would have specific tools made in a specific way with specific engravings and all of that stuff on it. So that becomes, as I said, very specific to the actual ritual itself, or the tradition that you're actually working. And there's a reason for all of that stuff. But other than that, if you're not working with any particular tradition, then it's just something you're doing yourself. Then you decide how important the materials and the tools really are. John and Uncle, leave it as long as you like. It's all good and well when we agree about everything, but differences are more difficult. Thanks for the conversation so far. Okay, no problem. No problem. Let's see. Oh, I'm not sure how you pronounce that name. I'm going to call you Jason. Okay, that's going to be easier. That doesn't offend you or anything. I've got a question, but I'm trying to figure out how to say it clearly and concisely because I have a bunch of questions, but it's more polite to ask one and be patient. Well, just start sending them through and we'll sift through it and sort through it and see how far we get. Dragon, would you get more results with or without tools? That you can get the same results with or without tools. And as I said, this is going to go back to tradition again as well. If you work in something in a Golden Dawn framework or Thelemic framework or something like that, you're going to need the tools that are specific to that tradition in order to accomplish the purpose, the goal of the ritual itself. But if you are doing something which is purely working with the movement of energy, for instance, then you can use tools, but you don't need to use tools. If you are doing pore breathing, you are the tool, because you are literally breathing the energy or the element or whatever energy you're working with into your body through your pores. You are pore breathing, so you become the tool, really. So again, depends on the tradition. It depends on the actual work you're doing. But either way, it's not a case of do you get better results or is one more powerful or potent than another. It's specific to the work you're actually doing. Jono, Uncle Iro. Who's Uncle Iro? You have a ritual or spell in mind? 4? No, I've lost you there. Sorry. Gonna have to elaborate on that one. Jason. I don't even know how my name got like that, but it's funny seeing people try to pronounce it. Well, let's have a go. Jason Much Junmook. Okay, no, I'm just going to stick with Jason. Arena, Jono, I just saw your stuff on the Wildwood Discord. It looks absolutely amazing. It is very, very, very good stuff. Lovely stuff. Cosmic, I've made a stang, and that's as far as I have gotten with tools. That's fine. We've got lots of years to go, don't worry. As I said, I don't really have that many tools myself. I guess some people would say I do, but I don't think I do. Okay, Jason, have you had any encounters or experiences with the spirit Gamaliel? I haven't, no. Things kind of blurred in history, so some see him, her, as an archangel, and some see them as under or with Lilith. I haven't worked with Gamaliel myself, no. Isn't that's too far away to see. So I'm just trying to check my wall. I've got the Tree of Life plastered on my wall that I keep adding notes to. No, that's something different. Gam something, but it's different to Gamaliel. Not the realm, the realm in the night side. Oh yeah, that's also what I was thinking of. Although the realm in the night side tree has the same name. Yeah, and I don't work with the night side tree or the clipotics myself, so. But as far as Gamaliel, no, I haven't. Sorry. Richard, I guess tools like your clothing helps focus your energy, and in that way the spell. Yes, yeah, you can use tools as an extension of yourself, and it depends on the tool. Also, I mean, if you are using a wand, for instance, and you have what's the word? Cultivated. You have made your tool in the manner in which you actually tie off the branch, the piece of the branch, and you actually ask the tree to put its dryadic energy into that piece of branch before you cut it. Then you're also not just working with an external energy to the tree or to the wood or to yourself, or your own energy. You're actually working with the energy of the dryad, the tree itself. So it becomes very much not just a tool, but a companion as well. But like people will use an athame to project energy to draw a circle, for instance. So it's directing energy. It's I use my 2 fingers, like just point like that instead of using anathema. I've got anathema, I don't use it, I just use my fingers. And I find it works just as well. I'm pointing, and it's that pointing, the athame is kind of like double-edged, so it comes to a point, and therefore I think we kind of view that as focusing the energy and into a beam, but my two fingers work just as well. So yeah, and different tools do different things. Pendulum does something, an athame does something, a wand does something, a stang is to be dressed as an altar, and to represent the horn god and things like that. Stands in the north or the northeast to act as a gateway or a doorway. So lots of things you can do with tools. But again, it comes back to tradition. Jason was worth a shot to ask. Sorry I couldn't answer that. I see you're asking, can I ask about Egyptian magic now? You're going to be very disappointed again. I'm very much European based and pushed towards Greek, but I'll get there just now and we'll see what I can do. Johnny, thanks Rena. In fact, that thing has my literal blood, sweat and tears on it. It's also strong. I'm glad for some of the effort I put into my tools. Yeah, making your own tools is a really good thing, because you do put your own energy into it. How do you think magic works? I think it works by resonating, energies resonating together and coming into unification. It's my new word, unification instead of union. And bringing various different parts together to all work together and vibrate, resonate together. And once they're resonating together, they then can be directed to do particular things. You can call in the energy of something, or a spirit, or an element, or something like that, and you can cause your own vibrational state to resonate at that frequency. And then you can go forward and do, excuse me, you can go forward and do whatever you need to do, because you are that energy, you are resonating with that energy. So I believe that it's all got to do with frequency and vibration and energy and resonance of energies. For me. Oh, I didn't finish my coffee, thank God. Alright, Jason, what are your thoughts on Egyptian magic, Heket, and possible connections with Hecate? I don't think there are connections, but maybe we just haven't uncovered proof of it. It's possible there is a connection there. I mean, when you look at the goddess Hecate, I don't think anybody really knows the extent of Hecate's history. I mean, if you go into Sarita Deste's research and the books that she's been writing, there's mention of the old Greeks would actually do offerings of. They would actually sacrifice dogs as offerings to Hecate. That's the only goddess or only deity within the Greek pantheon that was ever done for, and it was kind of unheard of. It's kind of like the impression, the idea that's been put across. So it's believed that that was pre-Greek stuff, and she just kind of got incorporated into the mythology of the Greek, the Titans and the Olympians. There's talk about her coming from having Anatolian origins, which is now Turkey, but it could extend further than that. This could be a completely different goddess that just way back in history, but could be, yes, definitely could be associated with Heket or even Heka, whether they're the same god or not, I'm not entirely sure. There is a book I need to read by, I think it's David Rankin, about Heka. I need to read that. I saw it again today on my list. I haven't got to it, I keep forgetting. But yeah, I do believe there is a connection there. There's speculation at the moment. Yes, we don't have the proof yet. We do have that proof from Anatolia, although people are still debating that, whether it was the same goddess that made it into the Greek pantheon or not. It's still being debated, but there are statues and some evidence to it. But yeah, the Egyptian connection speculation at this point, quite often just associated with name. And quite often it actually gets associated with in the Egyptian there was very much, and going towards the Greek as well, especially with the Hellenistic period where cultures and religions were melded together. There was this aspect of sort of combining masculine and feminine aspects within one god, one deity. You'd often find that she gets connected with Hermes, as far as I remember, in that association. With Egyptian / Greek path. But yeah, very interesting. I hope to see more come out of that. Jono, Uncle Lee, the Dragon of the West is Uncle Ira. Oh, okay. It's an inside thing. Oh, so you guys know each other. Okay, that's cool. Jason, I know we've never met face to face, but I like what you do, so I find this opportunity really cool thing. It's an absolute pleasure. Thanks for being here. I enjoy this show. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy doing the channel. It started off as a mind dump. I just get everything out of my head type of thing, and let's just have it on. Lightbulb, what do you recommend doing to help with mind's eye, third eye perception and awareness that have personally given you results? My approach to that type of thing is to work with the entire energy body, the whole system. I know people do tend to focus on just opening the third eye, but I personally think that creates, it starts to create an imbalance. Because the focus, all of the focus and the attention then goes onto the one spot, and all of the other chakras, the meridians, the vessels, everything gets ignored. And if all the energy is being focused and all the attention is being focused in one spot, it's going to start to create an imbalance because the rest of the body isn't doing what it's supposed to do. So I believe that if you want to develop, because the idea of opening the third eye is to develop your psychic senses. But if you want to do that, then I believe that you should work with the entire energy system, and that comes in the form of doing things like yoga, qigong, doing various meditations such as the Heavenly Circuit, doing fire breath, very similar fire breath and Heavenly Circuit. Kind of the same thing. It's just a slight difference. You add the element of fire in there that moves around the body. Doing that, working with the chakra system, Kundalini Tantra, for instance, all of these things are, working with the entire energy body rather than just focusing on one area. And then once all the energy's moving and flowing through your body and all of your physical body and your various energy bodies properly, it all just comes. So that's my approach. Jason, I hold off a bit now. Let others get theirs in. They're probably listening, so I wouldn't worry about that. I'll get through. The nice thing about the chat at this point is there are not hundreds and thousands of people on, so it doesn't like fly by, so I can get to everybody's questions. Luckily, that's why I like it. Like this size, it's brilliant. Now Jason Lee can speak for himself, but I'm enjoying the interaction. Yeah, I agree. I just don't want to take away from others' experience. No, you won't. Don't worry. I'll try to give everybody an equal opportunity. Let's see. Tracy, I mostly listen because I'm much less knowledgeable than the rest of you. Oh, don't say things like that. I'm sure you know lots of things that some people don't know. Arena, same here. I think that popped up when I was talking about working with the entire system, so I assume that's the same thing. Hope you were agreeing with that. Jono, so what tools do you guys use? I've never actually used my SMA before, but if there's a tornado coming, I've got it for Revkai's storm cutting idea. I use my wand a lot. Yeah. I'd actually take a sword to, or an axe actually, to cut a storm. Depends how big the storm is. But nothing though would work. I've actually got a. Where's my? Oh, it's in the lounge. I've got a. I'll bring it next time. Oh, that reminds me. There was somebody asked about book suggestion or something. I did note it down and I said I would tell them what it was this week. I'll find that in the meantime. I'll grab it for next week if I remember. It's a double. It's almost like a double blade, really, and it's got like a. It's not. It's a decoration knife. It's not really a knife, but it's like got a jagged edge. It's really cool design, and then it's got like this woman, serpentine woman. Reminds me of Lilith. I'll grab that. I'll show you next week. Now, where did I put this note? This is my finding system. I don't remember what it was now. We were talking about. While I'm doing that, Dragon, does silencing the mind mean to have absolutely no thought of the intention you have, or is it focusing on said intention despite there being background thoughts? Silencing the mind or having no thought, no mind is usually considered to be having completely blanking out thoughts. However, my argument there is it can't be done. There are Tibetan monks. Oh, that was long. There are Tibetan monks that have been practicing for like decades, who might be able to achieve that perfect, pure, no mind state or no thought state for like 5 minutes. But my argument to the whole thing is that we have this is an old philosophy that I've stuck through the years. We have what is called the 7 ± 2 thing, or ideology, that says that at any given moment you have 7 thoughts, at least 5, at the maximum 9, so 7 ± 2 thoughts at any time. So if you are in an extremely relaxed state, you're going to have 5 thoughts running through your mind at the same time. What happens is your mind then picks up on one and pulls that forward, and that becomes the focus. Once that's dealt with, you then pick up the next one. Now, with meditation, what you're doing is you're trying to quiet the mind. Okay, it doesn't mean bringing yourself into a no mind state or a no thought state. It means just quieting the mind, which probably what you're referring to there, silencing the mind. And that is a case where I actually saw this explained in a Buddhist book, and I thought it was brilliant. If I get my thoughts right. So what happens is a thought comes in, and you may spend 4 or 5 minutes on that thought, and then you push it aside, and the next one comes in. Okay, when you're doing meditation, what often happens is the thought comes in, and you start focusing on it, and then you realize that you're focusing on a thought, and that takes a particular amount of time, and then it takes a particular amount of time to push it aside. Okay, and then come back to the thing you're focusing on. So this is the thing. You're trying to focus on or to have one pointed focus, whatever that may be. Breath, tip of your nose, whatever it is. You come back to that focus, okay? And then the next thought comes in. And this process of the thought coming in, you're realizing you're having a thought and you're thinking about it, and then pushing it aside and coming back to the point of focus, when you start out, could be a 5-minute exercise. But as you continue meditating and getting better at this, that time gets shorter and shorter and shorter, until eventually the time it takes for the thought to come in, you to realize that you're having a thought, to push it aside and come back to your focus, is a split second. And therefore you don't actually notice that you're having thoughts, just because they're just going by. And that, I think, is what we're talking about when we're having this idea of no thought, because you are having thoughts, but you're not noticing that there are thoughts there, or silencing the mind because they're just fleeting by, and you are keeping focus. It's so quick that you're keeping focus on that thing that you are focusing on. That's what we're talking about, I believe. That was a long explanation. All right. So, Jason, I find it interesting how chakras are prescriptive, not descriptive, but because of how Western authors relay the information, it shaped perception. It's a little bit of a read, but worth checking out. I think these are all separate. I'm going to read them all as separate things and just answer them as I go. So yes, the chakra system was introduced by Vivekananda to the Western society in the late 1800s, I believe, early 1900s. Crowley was a huge follower of Vivekananda, Swami Vivekananda. So he kind of, as far as I know, this is where the main thing came from, and this is where Blavatsky picked a lot of it up from. Apart from, I don't know if she actually travelled to India, but she took that thing, all of the Hindu stuff, and sort of created the New Age movement. She got very racist though, so I don't really like her. But so it got introduced quite early into Western society, and it progressed from there. And there was a focus on the chakra system and 7 chakras, but you've got earlier sources that speak about 3 energy centers, and I've found this in Kabbalah also, but you find it in Druidry, in what's the poet's name? I say Imogen Whitney. I think other people pronounce it quite Amagin. I think people pronounce it Whitney. But anyway, he wrote Children of Poesy, a poem, a bardic poem, and in there it speaks about the 3 cauldrons, which are in the pelvis area, the heart, and the head, and working with three cauldrons itself. These are 3 main energy centers. So you've got that. You've got, if you go into Castaneda, I know a lot of people will say Castaneda was a fraud and everything else, but if he was a brilliant man, because the system he created, therefore, is amazing. But anyway, that's a different story. So in Castaneda's philosophy, in his writings, in the way of the Toltec path, the Toltec warrior, they speak about the assemblage point, which is kind of like if you imagine the body, the reality of our body is it's just a ball of energy, just energy filaments that just flow everywhere, and then it all comes together and kind of gathers at the front and into this rod that goes through just off center of the heart center, and goes out the back and then continues around. This is how we experience reality. Okay, so awareness, experience comes through and continues going through. Now, with the Toltec warrior practices, what they do is they shift their assemblage point. And there was descriptions within Castaneda's books that spoke about, kind of alluded to the chakra system, because we don't just have the 7 chakras, we've got thousands upon thousands of different energy centers and worlds around the body, on the palms, on the tips of the fingers, everywhere. Okay, so we've got these thousands of energy centers. And he alluded to that to try and describe that when you shift the assemblage point, you actually shift it into a different reality. You shift your own experience into a different reality. That could be a very subtle shift, from experiencing your reality from a very angry and abrasive manner into shifting it into happy and joyous. Or it could be a quite severe shift into a completely different reality, an alternate reality where the sky is green, that type of thing. But each shift is kind of shifts from one reality to another, and these realities are the energy centers which we have in our energy body. So, the point I'm trying to make is that there are many, many cultures. They all talk in some manner about having an energy body and having energy centers that we can work with, where energy kind of conglomerate or meets at a particular point or points, which affect us. You know, if it's not moving in the right way, if it's not flowing, then it affects us physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and everything else. But there's, you know, it's not just this idea of the chakra system and the Hindu system. The chakra system comes from the tantric texts. It's found everywhere, and there are lots of overlaps and lots of similarities because we all have an energy body, and therefore one culture may have experienced it in a particular way and another culture experienced it in another way. But you'll see the similarity. They may have just explored it a little bit further, which is why, you know, in Chinese medicine and stuff like that, you have all of the graphs of the lines that run through the body, the dim mat points, the vessels and the meridians, and all those things, and all the acupressure points, all points of energy. So yeah, I'm rambling tonight. Okay, now I've lost my place. Hold on. Okay, Jason, thank you. I hadn't considered the balance aspect. That helps me a lot, actually. Okay, that's good. I found that a silent mind is pretty easy to maintain. I don't know what the tipping point was. For me, it is more that I control the direction of thought, and when willed, thoughts flow accordingly. Yeah, that's actually a good thing. You do find it easy to get into a silent mind. A lot of people don't, and a lot of people who are neurodivergent find it very, very difficult, and trying to get to that one point of focus has to be sought out a different way. You know, some people just cannot sit down and be silent. They just can't do it. It's impossible. So another method needs to be found in order to attain or achieve that goal. But it can be done. It can be, you know, that particular method can be found. Sometimes it takes a bit longer than usual. But yeah, the fact that you can actually get into that silent mind, that quiet mind, one pointed focus, brilliant. So that's great. It's like an observation as things that unfold around me. It's my normal mental state. I suspect meditation is the tipping point. It would be. Meditation causes meditation causes a lot of things to happen. It causes the observer mind to take place, so that you don't have those knee-jerk reactions in particular situations. You can't step back, you know, think about what you want to do next. It allows you to quiet the mind. It allows you to bring yourself into one pointed focus. It allows trance to take place. So it's meditation itself, sitting down, meditating, whatever that may look like. Some people, I know Andrea that comes on here quite often, she peels potatoes because that's her meditation. And she can bring herself into a trance state and have one pointed focus by peeling potatoes. You know? So the method may differ, but the goal is sort of the same usually. John, what you're saying is very truly controlling our minds takes some practice, but it gets easier quickly. Like most people, I've had problems with negative self-talk, and now I'm killing it immediately. Good. And it is something you need to keep up. It's like exercising a muscle. If you stop and you don't exercise it for 2 months, you start again. You know, it's easier to kind of get to that point again, but yeah, you've got to kind of start the exercises again. Jason, it's interesting how once you get so used to recognizing it, you take away its power and choose your direction from there. So it is a matter of where our awareness is grounded, even if it is there temporarily. But the hard part is getting there if you don't know how to, or it isn't trained in regards to assemblage points. Yeah. It definitely takes training. And in regards to assemblage points, that takes a lot of training. You've got to actually free up a lot of power, a lot of energy to accomplish that. So yeah, it's definitely not an easy task. Jason, I'm not sold on specific positions being needed for meditation. What matters is the results more than the method. I absolutely agree. Yeah, I do absolutely agree. Yolandi, I find it easy to focus when I work with venomous snakes. You have to focus on what the snake is doing, or it can end badly. Absolutely. That's definitely exercising your one-pointed focus. But so, look, I mean, last week we did that little exercise with the breathing. I don't know if everybody found that it helped. I find that it helps because I bring my attention to the noise that my breath's making, and then I force my breath to be quiet. And I have to focus on my breath to make sure it's still quiet, and I haven't gone back to a noisy breath. The breathing, hearing the breath going in and out through the nose and things like that. So that definitely helps me with one-pointed focus. Jason, how are you? I've got the cogs working, thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Glad I could do that. Goodness me, it's hot here. What the temperature is now? My computer's lying to me. It says that it's 25 degrees Celsius. And it's 8 o'clock, almost 8 o'clock. It's down to 28 now. It's not going to go lower than 20 tonight, though. I seriously need to get air conditioning. Jono, that's awesome, Andy, Ogali, you working with copperheads or something. It's been a while since I've found a snake. Okay, you guys can have a conversation with it about snakes. I'll read through it though. Jason joined the Agriball project. Thank you. Good stuff. Yeah, I actually I actually want to. I'm trying to get people onto the tiers for the Temple of the Horde Serpent, the first degree magical training there. I wish YouTube and Patreon would work a bit closer together with their memberships. It would make life so much easier to try and incorporate the two. Yolandi, I work with Cape Cobras, Wormslang and Puff Adders. You guys can do that. I love snakes, but yeah, I'm not a snake handler. Alright, John said on the WhatsApp groups, everyone warned about a heat wave for us today, no sleep. The game to me tonight, I know how you feel. It's 36 degrees in Pretoria today. Yeah, I believe it was, temperatures in certain areas were going up to like 40. It's actually quite early. I remember whenever we've had heat waves in the past, up to 40, 42, that's usually December, mid-December time. Even going into January, not this early, this is very early. So I don't know what our summer's going to be like. Right, chat's gone quiet. What else can I talk about? What to expect this month on the channel? Let's see. I'm doing. What's this month? No, I think it is this month. There's a Gnosticism Path series coming out Monday. Just your basic introduction to, as all the Path series are, introduction to the path itself, philosophies, ideologies, worldview, all that stuff. And then I was going to do talismans and amulets because there's a couple of videos I did in the past about protection magic, and so I thought I'd do one on talismans and amulets. But then I created the course, or the course extension of first degree material. So what I did, I just kind of took that bit out of there and put it into the video to show everybody. So to get a taste of the course, I suppose. And then it's I did a what the hell's going on to just make sure we're all on the same page and everybody knows what's going on. Channels, Patreon, temple, all that stuff. And the book review this month was Beyond Dreaming, Gene Hart, and then all the usual stuff. The Ask Uncle Lee, Demon of the Week. Richard said it was 37 degrees Celsius when I left Victoria today. Still very hot here, yeah. Okay, there we go. On about snakes. Okay. Looks like have we lost Jason? It was Luke's. Was it Luke's last week that was asking about the god spousing stuff? I will mention it just in case Luke's is watching afterwards and couldn't make it today. I think it was Luke's. I did say I would go find out what this book was. It was called Spirit Magic. Sorry, let me start again. Reversed. Spirit Marriage by Megan Rose, and it's got a foreword by Orion Foxwood. He's also it's actually a great book because it actually interviews various practitioners from different cultures. Orion Foxwood is very much fairy tradition, was trained by R.J. Stewart, but traditional witchcraft and also Sylvan conjuring. So from that perspective, and then she interviews somebody from Voodoo, who was God spoused, and then from all these different traditions. There's a couple in there that I would kind of go, it's a bit of a fantasy. But there are others that are very specific to the cultures that they actually follow, which is fascinating. Really is fascinating. But yeah, some of it you have to take with a pinch of salt. So, if you are watching and you couldn't make it today, and I said I would get this book, Spirit Marriage by Megan Rose. There you go. Dragon, do you need circles, candles, and offering when summoning spirits, angels, and demons? No, you don't. You might find that you want it for various reasons. Examples would be if you want to balance the energies within the space you're going to be working, which is very much what demonology actually focuses on with their basic, circle casting method of calling the elemental kings themselves. That's not extending into the nine demonic divinities. And doing a triangle formation or heptameron or something like that. That's just your basic, working with the elemental kings, balancing the space elementally. And then, so that would be one example. Then you've got something like a ceremonial approach, where you may want to actually create a boundary, where you become the creator within that space. You become the creator of all things, and you kind of extend that out. You can then, that becomes very much a protective boundary, so you can call in the energies you want and leave everything else outside. So it's a bit of a filter. So you might want to work with the circle for that specific method. if you're going to work traditional witchcraft, you're going to be working with what's not usually called a circle, but a compass. That becomes a compass round, which is uh, very much a space between worlds. And you don't create a protective barrier in that case because you want to be able to step from this realm into the other world. So that's a different way of using a circle construct. So it depends on what you're doing again, and it also again depends on tradition. If you work in a specific tradition, you're going to be casting a circle or laying a compass, depending on that tradition's what they actually want you to do, what they're teaching you. I've got a frog in my throat. So yeah, but you don't have to if you. I do energy work every day, and I do cleansing work every day, and balance my energies and everything else. So I find that I don't need to balance the space. I can do that very quickly if I need to, and it's usually just a projection of a bubble out from my core outwards. And then I just work in the space and do what I need to do. I do like to light candles. I usually don't light them in the summer because I have a fan going and they go crazy. So that becomes a fire hazard. I may therefore light a lamp, or I've got a light here that it's the globe kind of changes color. I control it on my phone, so I can change it to red or green or something like that, depending on what kind of mood I want, what kind of energies I'm calling in. So yeah, it depends on the work you're doing. Offerings. If you're going to be working with spirits, it's usually standard to kind of take an offering, to give, because if you're getting something, you want to reciprocate, you want to give something to them. So yes, you usually would take an offering in spirit work. But if you're not doing spirit work, if you're working with your own personal energy or the elements themselves, not the beings within the elements, but the elemental energies themselves, that's a bit of a different story. And sometimes you might be meeting a spirit and you don't know what offering to take. So what you want to do then is sit down, speak to the spirit, and ask the spirit what offering you can give them, and they'll give you an answer. And then afterwards, you can do the offering, depending on what it is. And it may end up being something that you can't do immediately. You may have to do. It may ask you to do some volunteer work, which is only going to happen next week, something like that. So yeah. Sometimes take offerings, sometimes not. All depends on the work you're actually doing. Jono said, "Dragon of the West. If you want to be cool, you do." Oh, there is another aspect to that. If you want to cast a circle, if you want to do the whole shebang, which would be taking a ritual or a cleansing bath, and then getting dressed in particular robes or particular clothes which are specifically set aside for doing magic. And it doesn't need to be robes, it can just be like a t-shirt and a nice pair of pants or something, but they are set aside specifically for doing magic. And then starting to do the circle casting and everything else. It's not just about working with the energy, and calling in the energy, moving around in space itself, and all of those things, but there also is a psychological aspect to it. You kind of shift yourself psychologically from the mundane into the magical or the spiritual by doing the bath, because you're doing a very specific ritual bath, and then you're putting on very specific clothes which are put aside for this specific task, which is magic. So there can be a psychological aspect to it as well. And, lighting candles and all of that just form part of that. Jono, what egregores are you guys trying to make? The egregore project is something I actually started, oh god, I think it's about 3 years ago now. And it started with Belphegor wanting me to do a monthly ritual with a group of people. So it was originally going to start on Etsy. I didn't think I've tried it there and it didn't work. But anyway, so it was a fee of $10 a month. Still is $10 a month. And once a month, I would then call Belphegor, and we would do this ritual to help with bringing money in, helping with finances, helping with business, keeping the energy flowing, and all that stuff. Then it developed into taking Belphegor and adding another 4 demonic forces to create a servitor that was specifically for the same thing. It was called Demonic Wealth Whip back then. And so that created a servitor, which, because a group of people were working with that particular servitor, it then became eventually an egregore. They're still quite small egregores at this point, but I mean, could take hundreds and hundreds of years before they could become gods if people continue to work with them. I don't know if they will. But anyway, so it was basically servitors that are being used or worked with by a group of people who are all tied into this web of energy, right? And then it went on for about, I think, 2 years, and it was just getting repetitive, the same. We were working with the same spirit, feeding it once a month, doing some kind of ritual, trying to give ideas on how to work with the spirit and everything else. So then I was given the idea to start creating more of them to do different things. So we now have we've got the wealth spirit. We have one to work with dreaming, astral work. We've got one that's kind of a mercurial type spirit, which works very much on technology, the interweb and things like that, moving through the system of interwebs. And you can ask it to influence algorithms, all that stuff. That was the mercurial one, which is communication, education, communication, electronic communications, all that stuff. Wealth, communication, dreaming. We've got one that works with divination specifically. I found that one very useful with my pendulum. Pendulum work has improved a lot since I created that one. There is the gatekeeper. The most recent one was to help get rid of procrastination and give you motivation. So that's becoming a useful one for me as well, because I'm terrible at that. I procrastinate all the time. So yeah, that's the egregore project. That's what we're doing. Creating servitors that are being worked with by a group of people and therefore becoming egregores, and therefore I call it the egregore project. It's actually it's an idea I had, decades ago. And there was actually I tried starting it about, I think, 10 or 15 years ago, and I tried starting it with there were a couple Cyvamps that I knew in the UK, and they were very much into chaos magic and all this, so I tried starting with them, but it didn't actually go anywhere, so picked up the idea. Anyway, right, so carrying on. Richard, Dragon of the West, no you don't. No you don't, but you can if you want to. No reason you can't. John Pointley, doing my seals of Solomon, the ritual cleansing, and my clothes were way more valuable than circle and other stuff I do. Yeah, definitely can be. Because you're putting in a particular thought. And coming back to servitors and egregores, we could actually say, when you're working with a tool very intimately, you're actually creating a thought form which is housed in that tool. And I believe when we do spell work, we often create thought forms that go out and do what we need the working to do through the actual spell working itself. So thought forms are a very interesting topic. Richard, I've met some of these egregores. They are nice. Well, it's because I created them, obviously. We're going to get into some death ones and war ones pretty soon, so maybe they won't be so nice. Might be a bit abrasive. Luke's is here. Hello, Luke's. Hey, a few days ago, while I connected to Nyx, I saw women with short hair, and then in next day in one game, I saw the same face, and it was Eris, her daughter. I also connected with lately not contingency. Okay, cool, sounds good. Just remind me, it was you was asking about the god spells and stuff last week, and I did suggest a book that I was going to find the title for. I did mention it just now, but you. Sorry, OBS just disconnected and reconnected me, so I don't think I missed anything. I was at Dragon asking how does pendulum work and how does hydromancy work. So the pendulum, um, the pendulum works by minute muscle twitches, really. And actually, interestingly enough, the book I'm reading at the moment, which is about scrying and dowsing, actually speaks a lot about the pendulum. One of the things she actually mentions in there is that because you've normally got your elbow on the table and you've got the pendulum and it's dangling down here, and after a while your arm starts to get tired, which causes these little twitches and stuff. You can't do them voluntarily. It's impossible to do this voluntarily if you actually try. But there's all these little minor little ticks and stuff that start to happen because your arm's starting to get tired. And that's the reason, Jenna, I think it's Jenna Tyson, she actually says that this is the reason that it works, is through that fatigue of the muscles. But anyway, so who you contact, a bit of a difficult one to determine. I believe that I contact my lower self, my nefesh. It has access to the knowledge and therefore can actually communicate it back. Other people will say that you communicate with your higher self, your holy guardian angel. Other people will say that they communicate with various different deities, spirits, and everything else. So who you contact, I'm not really sure entirely. It's probably a personal thing. Spirit guides, whatever it is. And then you ask a question. You do program the pendulum to move in a particular way. I have found that every time I start a new session, I have to ask it to actually show me a yes, show me a no. Sometimes that comes back as a different to what it normally is. And sometimes it's completely and utterly haywire. And then if it's haywire and nothing's making sense, you're asking just to show you a yes and show you a no, just to start that contact. And it's doing circles, and I had it the other day where I was holding, I wonder if I can actually do it, I don't know. I was holding the pendulum, okay, so it was dangling, but the pendulum itself was completely and utterly still. And the bloody, this thing was like moving around. It was weird. But the pendulum was totally still. And so then you kind of get the idea it's a bad time to ask. So you ask, should I be asking these questions at the moment? And you'll probably get a no. So then you put the pendulum down. So you can't force the thing. That's so anyway, yeah. Kind of like, kind of how it works. There is a great book. I don't have the link with me at the moment. I can't remember the title or anything. It's a free book online. It's in, I don't know, maybe somebody, I don't know if anybody's on here who is part of the temple training. You'll find it in month 1. Notes in there, the link in there. I can't remember the name of it either. It's a great book and it's free. I'll grab that and we can put that on next week. So let's do that. And there was actually I need to note these things down because there was something else I was going to do next. Oh, it's been like that, the knife. The very interesting assassinate. What was it? The pendulum book. And I'll put that on next week. Oops, sorry, my camera's flying around. All right, and then hydromancy. Hydromancy, I assume you're talking about scrying with water. Love scrying with water because there's so much you can do with it. How does it work? It works the same way as any other scrying method, really. You get yourself into a trance state, and some people will. I believe some people actually project image from their consciousness onto the surface of the water itself, and that's how they see the images. I find I go into a hypnagogic state, and I have images start to come up that way. Again, depends on the person, their own abilities and the way they do it. Really, what comes natural to them as well. Jono, letter of Robin. Yes, that's it. Go have a look at Letter of Robin. Yeah. So for me, it's hypnagogic, and then I start to see images and visualizations and get communications and things like that. But I mean, the things you can do with water scrying, and what I like to do is I've got a black bowl and I put water in it, put it on the floor, and then dim the lights so I can't see any candle lights or anything like that, candle flames, and you gaze at it and it becomes like this black hole in the floor. It's amazing. But you can use all different types of water. So you can use rainwater, river water, you can just use normal tap water, spring water, the moon water you've made, and you can use that in your scrying to get different things, different answers, different impressions, have different experiences. You can put ink in it, you can put blood in it, and swirl that around, and you might start to see patterns in the actual ink itself. You can make a strong, run quite a lot of fluid condenser with chamomile tea. So just make a strong brew of chamomile, boil it on the stove, put some intention in there, put the energy and the idea, the intent of using this particular liquid for scrying and to receive messages, and use that. There's lots and lots you can do with water scrying. It's brilliant. So anyway, I hope I answered that. John, I expect no, an egregore to stop me procrastinating sounds crazy annoying. I'm terrible. I really am. I'm an expert at procrastination, but it doesn't help with production very much. Productivity. Richard Lee, you know me by now. War and Death egregores will still be called nice by me. And I'm creating them, so they probably will be. They kind of come along with their fluffy outfits and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden they go like explode into this fiery demonic force. Right, I'll go get that also. Yeah. Anyway, nukes. I guess this thing I described happened because Eris wanted to connect with me, right? And she let me know about it while I was with Nix. Yeah, quite possible. You might find quite often if a specific spirit needs to come along and work with you, that they may communicate that through a spirit you are working with at that time. We have the spirits come and go. These teacher spirits, we have them come and go the whole time, and they're there to teach you a lesson and then they leave. Next one comes along to teach you or guide you on something else and then they leave. So, if it's time for Eris to come along and teach you something or guide you on something, which is probably going to be about Discord, obviously, then that's what's going to happen. The chat's gone quiet again. Do I just need to scroll? No, that's it for the chat. I still haven't finished my coffee. What's going on? Cold now. Tonight's actually flown by. We did start this hour and 20 minutes ago, right? Cool. Jono, you use Barden's simple fluid condenser for scrying. That's clever. For anyone who doesn't know, it's just really strong chamomile tea. Go read Barden, it's free. Yeah, yeah. Can be used for a lot of things. I do remember in one of Peter Padden's podcasts a long time ago, there was actually a wand that he was speaking about. I cannot remember the name of the wand. It had a specific title to it, but it was one that just kind of, it was a short little wand and it just kind of fitted into your palm. And it was made with a reed. So you hollowed it out. And then what you would do is you made fluid condenser with strong chamomile tea. And you kind of took a piece of paper that was the same width as the inside of the dowel or the reed, the wand, and however long, I don't know if it has specific length to or not, a plate, and then you pour the fluid condenser on, and you put your intent into the fluid, which then imbues into the paper or parchment or whatever, and then you take that out and you let it dry. And then you actually roll it up quite tight and you stick it into the reed, and then you seal both ends, and that's your wand. And it's this little wand you can hold in your palm, and you can kind of go around and direct energy at things. I thought that was really clever and it was really good. But as there's specific name, and I can't think what it was. But yeah, the fluid condenser's used for a lot of things. Yeah. Luke's thanks. I will connect with her after 1 hour or something. Okay, good stuff. Do you think that deity's energy can keep evolving and transforming? Lately, while I was with Scuddy, her energy felt different. It definitely can. I mean, we evolve and change. It's energy. It's always moving. It's never fixed, never still. The cosmos is constantly in motion. So there's absolutely no reason why a deity's energy would be static or stagnant. It would keep moving and changing and evolving, just as we do, and just as the universe does. So yeah, I would say yes. Nobody has commented on the music tonight. I hope everybody can hear it, because I've been listening to it for almost an hour and a half now. It'd be funny if nobody can hear it. Oh, I need big cushions. Oh, it's gone quiet again. At least my camera didn't freeze or do anything weird this week. Goodness. Tracy can hear it. I can. Okay, good stuff. That would have been quite funny. Fastest way to get an OB. Gills. Hello, Gills. Fastest way would be to actually meet somebody who can throw you out of your body. Literally. You know, in Doctor Strange, the first one, where she kind of punches him and he goes flying out of his body? That is actually a real thing. It can be done. I can't do it. I've never actually tried it, but I would. I wouldn't. I don't think I can do it. I've never. Listen, I haven't tried it, so I don't really know. But it is a very specific technique. It's an extremely specific technique. But basically, the person would slap you at a specific point on your back, and it pushes you out of your body. That's the fastest way. It really is. Other than that, I suppose psychedelics, hallucinogenics can help. Don't really know myself. Haven't used it for that. The other way would just be to go through the basic training, but stick to it. If you stick to the training, the reality checks and all of that stuff, then you actually make pretty quick progress. And I do find if you're doing your energy work, you're working with the energy body and getting everything circulating properly, that also helps as well, because especially if you are doing specific exercises that are loosening or exercising your shadow body or your astral body, that can definitely help. So yeah, but apart from the more difficult things, it's really just to go through the training and stick to it, because and they all seem to be the same. In all the books I read, they all seem to be the same method. All the same training. So it's really just a case of sticking to it, and you'll get there eventually. Genre music is fine, not your best. I was going for goth today. We did your rock last time. Girls, I've heard mixing horse tranquilizer and ketamine is a way. Oh, you go. If you're going to do that, make sure you have somebody who seriously knows the effects and can actually help you through that. That's going to that could be very, very dangerous, extremely dangerous. Ketamine is a horse tranquilizer, I think, so not sure what the other horse tranquilizer is. But on ketamine, yes, it can definitely help. But you're going to want to make sure you have somebody who is qualified to work with ketamine. There are people, I do know there are people, because that's a really serious one. That's way beyond psychedelics, your shrooms and everything else. Luke's speaking up lately. One person told me that Daji and me can work with each other to transform. Isn't it weird, like a soul experience might be 10 to 100 times older than mine, in the fact mine have old age. Well, if you're referring to the spirit is 100 times older than you are, more ancient. You gotta remember also that time's not actually real, linear time anyway. And depending on your worldview, really, one worldview could say that you are the creator of all things. We are each the creator of all things. We are our own universe, and we have created this cosmos that we experience, this reality that we go through. And therefore, all of the deities we have created, which then comes round to people who believe that specifically the Goetia, or Goetia spirits, but extending into all different spirits, gods and goddesses, are parts of the psyche. And when you evoke one of them, or invoke one of them, you awaken that part of the psyche, and you work with that part of your own psyche. So it depends on worldview as well. But time's not real, so I don't think... it's a bit of a fuzzy area, and can be discussed in hundreds and hundreds of different ways. But power, this idea of power, hierarchy, older is better, etc., etc., etc. I think it's really something we need to rethink a lot of the time. Girls, have you had an OBE? How long did it take you? This is an area that I absolutely and have always struggled with. Yes, I have had an OBE. I do remember flying down my hallway from the kitchen through into the hallway into the bedroom and seeing myself lying on the bed. I have had various experiences where I've rolled out of my body. The last time, the last time I was sleeping on the floor, so I rolled onto the floor. The time before that was the best one ever, because I was physically on my right side and I rolled over onto my left side, astrally. Could feel myself come out. And then I thought, oh, great, let's now fly up into the sky. And the only thing I could do was actually slide down the bed and fall off and kind of slide off the end of the bed. And that was it. And then I woke up. That was a pain in the arse. But this is, to actually get control of this has been one of my biggest difficulties. Don't ask me why, I don't really know why. I did have a near-death experience like 24 years ago. I do think that kind of psychologically stopped me from doing it, because I have this fear of dying. I don't know. I really don't know. I think I've gotten over that, but maybe I haven't. Who knows? Jono, out of body experience. I thought you wanted to get knighted in England. What? What, with an OBE? What is the purpose of an OBE? Isn't there a danger or not returning? So an OBE is kind of like your non-spiritual terminology, really, of astral projection. Although I do think there is some differences. When we talk about out-of-body experience, it's usually in, like people like Robert Monroe, who wasn't spiritual at all, but had this experience and therefore started exploring it in a scientific, experimental manner. So we speak about out of body because you are coming out of body, but that is part of the astral projection realm, or astral travel realm. I mean, even when we speak about that, we've got astral and ethereal travel that some people distinguish between. And then we've got astral travel, which is defined as traveling in this mundane space, and astral projection, which is going beyond into the ethers and into the different realms and all this. So you've got all these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different definitions, all explaining really very much the same thing. But when it comes to astral work, that becomes this huge, broad topic. I could say I do astral project because I can sit down in a meditative state and journey into the other worlds. I can walk around in my own physical space astrally, but I'm not asleep. I'm in a deep trance state. So when we talk about OBE or out of body experience, that's usually referring to the state where you have gone to sleep, or you're actually in a hypnagogic in between state, and your astral body, or your etheric body, or your shadow body, or your double body, depending on terminology again, actually comes out of your physical body and goes on journeys. It's your consciousness just moving around, really. So yeah, it's a huge area, huge topic, with so many different rabbit holes and everything else. Tracy asked, isn't there a danger of not returning? No, not really. There is a lot of mythology surrounding that. Look, anything's possible, but the likelihood that you will not return is very slim. There have been a lot of situations and cases where people kind of get out and they go somewhere and they can't figure out how to get back, or something feels like it's stopping them from getting back or something like that, but they always do. There's always a way around it, there's always a way to do it, to get there. So, and usually what happens is if you're in an astral projection and you can't figure out how to get back, just go to sleep. You'll wake up in your physical body. So no, really not that bad. Jono, I've got the skills. Start with lucid dreaming, then move to astral travel when you're asleep, then do astral travel deliberately when you're awake. Yeah, that's the usual progression and way to do it. And one of the ways if you do want to practice lucid dreaming and astral projection, One of the best ways I've found is to wake yourself up early in the morning and get up for like half an hour so that you are awake. Well, you're still sleepy, but you've had enough core sleep, so you don't actually need to go back into a core sleep. And then go back to sleep for like an hour and a half. And it helps with lucid dreaming and astral and everything else. That's a weird bloody. I remember once I woke up and I then realized that I wasn't awake. It's okay, so I went back to my body, and then went to sleep, and then woke up, got out of bed, and then realized I'm not awake. And this happened over and over. It happened, I think, like happened 10 or 15 times. And eventually, I thought to myself, "This is it. I'm never coming back. I'm just going to keep doing this loop forever. I'm going to die, and that's it." And I started having a bit of a panic attack. I think the panic actually woke me up properly. But that was a bit of a strange one. Andrew, I have. Hello, Andrew. I have astral travelled. I agree, lucid dreaming is the best way. Also, mastery of the water element. Oh, okay. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, it's flowy. Nice. Lucid dreaming is definitely a kind of a jumping point, jump off point to astral, because in lucid you get control of your dreams. You fly. I love flying in my dreams. Consciously doing it. It feels weird. So and then you can extend into astral projection. Andrew Lutz, I have never worked with Skadi, but Odin had changed with me. They learn as we learn. You might find that those are actually. This is why people come back to the idea that the gods are part of the cycle, because whereas we develop, they develop. So it does. That ideology, that worldview, just definitely makes sense. It's not one that everybody holds, obviously. Arena, I've had a lot of false awakening dreams. That's what it was, false awakening dreams. After lucid dreaming lately, I think it mainly happens when I try to switch places and mess up. It could be. I don't really know what was that actually. But it's yeah. No, I mean I've had many of them, but that specific one, I couldn't get out of the loop, and it freaked me out. Luke's, I'm glad, Andrew, when I connected to Odin, his energy was in my legs. It was so annoying. I had an experience with Hecate where she took control of my arms. Actually my whole torso. And she started twisting around. And it got to the point, and I'm thinking, I don't go any further than that. Try to go a bit further, and I'm like, no, I don't do that. The body does not go that far. So it was like testing what the body can do type sort of thing. It's really interesting when those things happen. Jono, Biden talks about these silver cords and not being able to return to your body, so you die. But I think he was talking about very advanced adepts. I think for most of us plebs, we're only going to achieve 1 foot in, 1 foot out anyway. So there's not really that danger. Yeah, there's a lot of debates around this. I mean, some people even have said that the silver cord doesn't exist. Other people say it does, and other people say it looks like this and it looks like that. So I don't think anybody can really agree. There is the idea, or has been for a long time, that if your silver cord gets broken, that you die because you now lose the connection to your body. A lot of people have debunked that idea and said that it's not true. It will not happen. So, whether it's just people trying to give other people confidence, don't really know. But I don't know anybody who has died from astral projection. So, That's all I can say, really. Tracy, relief, thank you. It's a pleasure. Glad we sorted that out. If we ever, I don't even know if we did sort it out. Um, yeah. But there is, I mean, you can actually experiment with, actually just not lying down, going into this between state and moving out of your physical body, but actually going into a meditative state. And a lot of people call it remote viewing. But going into meditative state and actually going to see things in the physical realm. And there's easy tests you can do. Get somebody to write a number, just a single digit or a 2-digit number or something on a piece of paper, put it on the top of a cupboard, and then do your thing, go into this meditative trance state, move out of your consciousness, out of your where you're sitting, and move around your house, and then see if you can see what the number is, and then go report. So you can do all these little tests. You can do it with friends as well. Go and visit them at their house, and they've like put something somewhere that has a picture of something, and you do the same for them, and they come to your house and check out what it is. Do all the little experiments. And then, obviously, if you can do that, you can move to, you can do journeying into the underworld and things like that, which is, move into the astral temple, whatever you want to do. That's all part of astral work. So it's not just confined to OBEs. That's why I say it's a bloody huge topic. Oh, Jono, Hecate messed with you. Sounds on brand. That amazing goddess has a personality and a sense of humor. I'm not personally ready for her, but I want to be friends with her when I'm ready. Very interesting goddess, definitely, yes. I rejected her for many, many years. She kept popping up over and over and over again. It was usually while I was trying to advise people on a particular thing. She would kind of pop up and go, use me. And I would suggest it. And then every now and again, the person would have this really, really bad experience. And then come back and report this to me. And I'd go, I don't want to work with you. Why would I want to work with you? And Greek, I was never ever interested in the Greek pantheon at all. I mean, yes, I got introduced to Pan very, very early on. But that became something different to me. It became something a bit bigger than just this idea of fitting into the Greek pantheon. So I wasn't interested in the Greek at all. And then eventually I just said, fine, I'll just answer the door, give in, and she is absolutely amazing, gotta say. Look, she's kind of hard sometimes, but she's, she pushes me in particular directions, but she, really good. Luke Secretary is a very lovely goddess once you are ready for her. And Jono Hecate has actually been awesome for me. I've called on her in an emergency before, and she was a mother figure. She helped me. Yeah. If you are interested in Hecate, I think you already know. Go and read Jason Miller's stuff. He talks about Hecate all the time. He's got an entire multiple courses on advanced practices with Hecate. So yeah, Jason Miller is definitely a good one to go. Also, obviously, Sarita Desta. From a scholarly perspective as well, Sarita Desta and David Rankin, brilliant sources. There are a couple of others who are very, very focused on Hecate. Cannot remember names though. I think we're going to slowly draw to an end. Jason disappeared. I wonder where Jason went. Yeah, gone quiet in the chat. Maybe we should end. And then see everybody next week, I suppose, for very much the same thing. All right. Yeah, so that's it for this week. Thanks everybody for joining. Hope you enjoyed the music. Hope you enjoyed the chat. I definitely enjoyed it. Yeah, thanks for the discussions. Oh, hang on, Luke's. By the way, what was the name of this book a week ago? Yes, it's called. I'm going to actually write it in here. Spirit, if I can spell, Marriage by Megan Rose. There you go. Jenna, I can't avoid Hecate. Luna is fully devoted now, so I'll meet her in passing whether I want to work with her or not. She's cool, I respect her. Okay, yeah, definitely can't avoid that. Sanka, it's an absolute pleasure. Arena, it's a pleasure. Lutz, it's a pleasure. Everybody, it's a pleasure. And thank you. Alright, so hopefully I'll see everybody next week. Have a good one until then. Ta-ta!